everyone, thank you so much for clicking on this video. My name is Karen and today's video is a very long awaited life update video. If you've been following me, you might know that I put out a video over a year ago now explaining why 2019 was the worst year of my life in regards to my mental health and so many other things that were going on in my life. I was definitely very naive. 2020 obviously was not a thing yet. And wow, was that a absolute garbage fire. After I initially made that video explaining what happened to me throughout the course of 2019, I received such a warm response, and I'm so grateful to everyone that gave me support following everything that I was struggling with that year. And I was able to really see like the value in talking about mental health and what that does for others when you speak up about what you are personally struggling with. And I was able to see the true colors of a lot of people that were in my life that now no longer are. I knew that my journey to recovery wasn't over, and I had made it my mission to document more about what was going on with me afterwards as a bit of a follow-up and a look into my life following that horrible year. But of course, we were met with another what could be considered horrible year, which was 2020. So obviously with the pandemic and the racial injustice and political unrest and just all of the tragedy and grief that people were experiencing, it just never quite felt like the right time to make things about myself. And on the other hand too, I also was dealing with my own things still, so I just kept pushing my plans for what I wanted to do with this channel. But now I'm sitting here and today is January 28th, which in Canada is actually Bell Let's Talk Day. So it's a big day for mental health. And then 2 days from now will actually be a date that is very important and significant to me. So I figured now was the best time more than ever to just sit down and finally give an update into what happened after I initially experienced the worst year of my life on a personal level. So we know 2020 was collectively awful, but I definitely had a lot of really big ups and downs during 2020. So for those that have been waiting to find out what happened after all the crap in 2019 went down for me, I want to take this time today to just fill you in and let you know what my progress is. And I'm excited to finally be sitting down and doing this because I've been wanting to come back for so long, but now definitely just feels like the right time. So without further ado, let's dive into what the past year has been like for me and a lot of the landmarks that actually did take place for me in 2020. Can't believe I'm saying that. So there is one thing so the biggest update I actually want to get first before I get into what initially happened over the course of the year in regards to me and my mental health is the update on my mom. If you watched my original video, then you know that the day that I made the video, my mom was actually in the hospital and she was struggling with complications as a result of her cancer coming back stage 4. So that was a very hard time for my family. So I figured that's a really big deal and a lot of people probably want to know what's going on there. So I figured I'd start with that and get that out of the way. And I'm very happy to say that my mom is doing absolutely amazing. The turnaround since she was in the hospital so much last year has just been absolutely amazing. So after she was in the hospital around Christmas for what was a pulmonary embolism, she continued to go to her chemo treatments and taking care of herself in the best way possible so that she could just continue to feel better and do well. And she basically did a full turnaround from where she was when she was initially diagnosed last year. So she's now in a place where she is walking around by herself without any assistance. She can actually go out shopping and doesn't need much support, and she can drive herself places now. And she's just been much happier and more relaxed. And I think like not being able to work and also like prioritizing better food choices and stuff has definitely contributed to that. But she has a great team of doctors and specialists that have been giving her really good care. And her last few CAT scans, like every CAT scan she's actually received so far, has actually shown not only no new progression of the cancer, but there actually have been several spots that have been disappearing. And she's gotten these results every single time that she has gone in for a CAT scan, which has just been so amazing for her and has made us so happy that she has been able to do this full turnaround. And even though it is technically a terminal cancer and it's not going away anytime soon, she has been able to do the work and get the care that she's needed to contain it and improve her strength and everything so that she can continue to thrive right now and hopefully will continue to thrive for many years to come. So I'm so grateful for the progress that she has made. And if anything, that alone made my 2020 an amazing year, just to be able to still have her and see her thrive and be able to actually spend quality time with her when it was safe to do. So now that I've touched on that, I'm gonna dive into kind of my whole experience in terms of where I left off with my mental health journey in my 2019 video and what kind of started to happen as the year unfolded. So if you've watched that video, it's long. I don't blame you if you haven't. Where I initially left off was I was waiting to get in to see a psychiatrist. Here in Ontario, it is actually pretty hard to get into them. Oftentimes there's a really long wait list and it sucks. I don't know what blessed me or how my luck managed to turn around so well, but I was lucky enough to actually be able to get into a psychiatrist beginning on January 30th of 2020, hence why 2 days from now is such a special day for me. Yeah, I was actually in several weeks after my doctor referred me, I was able to get in, and I had my first experience of going in to see a psychiatrist. I'd been seeing my psychologist still, but obviously I needed to get into the psychiatrist in order to receive my official diagnosis, which would then open me up to actually getting the proper medication that would hopefully help with whatever it was that I was going to be diagnosed with. So the experience was actually pretty vulnerable, but very interesting, and I'm glad I went through it. So basically it began by me actually getting a bunch of paperwork where I was able to describe what I was dealing with, and then I was also interviewed by another specialist to help make conclusions based on my life experiences and everything that I was struggling with in that moment. And from there, they actually went and met with the psychiatrist before I was going to go sit down and talk with him. So prior to actually speaking to me, they would compare notes and ultimately determine what my diagnosis was. I had assumed at this point that I had depression and social anxiety, probably generalized too, but the thing that I was most unsure of was whether or not I actually had adult ADHD, and if that was the main cause of why I was struggling so much in getting my work done and just being a generally productive human being. So I waited with my paperwork as I filled it out for a little while, and then finally I was called to meet my psychiatrist for the first time. And in that room, he was able to confirm for me that I did in fact have depression, generalized anxiety, social anxiety, and adult ADHD. I know a lot of people struggle with labels, and getting a mental illness and neurodiversity type of diagnosis can really mess with people and throw them off. But for me, it was definitely a moment of validation because now I had the science backing up what I was experiencing, and just that beginning of understanding that this wasn't my fault. This was my brain being an asshole, to be frank. And we could begin to actually start properly treating it. He was able to take all of my experiences too, actually, and he did also confirm that I have in fact struggled with OCD and thought broadcasting in the past. So that was very validating as well, even though it's not a current problem and hasn't been for a very long time. Just the confirmation that all of this stuff that I've struggled with over the course of my life was literally just my brain doing what it wanted to do. It just made me very happy. But of course, it wasn't like the cure-all end-all because now the actual work was going to begin. In addition to still going to see my psychologist, he and I were meeting regularly to start working on finding a proper medication that would help me begin to solve all of my problems, basically. So I was taking medication that had been prescribed by my family doctor for my depression and anxiety, but we started to conclude that they were only helping so much, and because we now had the added focus of trying to treat my ADHD, especially since it was so prominent in my life, we needed to really switch gears. So it was a lot of testing what was going to help me in terms of my depression, because we felt that needed more control than the anxiety, and then moving on to what would work best for me for my ADHD. And I will be so honest, it was actually a very long and difficult journey. Obviously, the symptoms that you experience while trying different medications are not fun, and it makes a lot of sense why people will quit using them after a while and give up. But I'm really glad that I stuck through it, because after months and months of being nauseous and getting headaches and not being happy and not being able to focus and having things work but then stop working, I did finally find my perfect cocktail of drugs, we'll call it, around the end of June, beginning of July, and it has been life-changing. I am so grateful for his support of me and being able to just encourage me to keep trying different things, and it definitely made all the difference. I would love to make another video talking about people's experience with medication and the way society views it, but what my experience was like in more detail, actually finding what worked for me and just like how it's important. So if that's something that would interest you, leave it down in the comments. I'm happy to continue making videos if they're going to be helpful for others. Like I said though, it did take until about July for me to finally find what worked. So there was a lot of life that happened during that time. And you guys know that the biggest thing that I was struggling with that was really causing me anxiety and really making me fearful was, of course, my job. Obviously, I had a bad experience at my prior workplace, and with my new workplace, I was absolutely fearful of losing another job. And I didn't know, because I was so new to this company, what was going to happen if my mental health did ultimately impact what I was able to put out in terms of my productivity. Because I couldn't actually start medication for ADHD right away while we were trying to sort out what was going to best help me with my depression, I was still struggling at work, and my productivity was definitely going down again. And I just had this moment after talking with my psychologist and just sitting there reflecting, I cannot go through this again. I ended up typing up a whole Google Doc. What I was experiencing, what had previously happened to me, where I was in terms of seeing specialists and medications, and my diagnosis and everything. I just put complete transparency into a document. And I sent it to my manager so she would know that I'm not putting out my best work right now, and this is why. And we were able to hop on a Zoom call and talk about things, and she thanked me for being so open about what I was dealing with, and it helped provide so much clarity into what was going on. So She made it very clear she wanted to support me more than anything and provide any accommodations or things that would be beneficial in terms of helping me regain positive mental health while still continuing to work there and work towards learning to cope with my ADHD. So this was really reassuring to me and made me feel so happy. This was so different from where I had previously come from, and I just couldn't believe that the company was being so nice to me with everything that I was dealing with and allowing me a safe place to just continue working towards everything that I was dealing with and trying to better myself. It was so good. It was great. We started having regular one-on-ones and trying to come up with different ways to help me increase my productivity and work with my ADHD based on what was recommended. For the first few months, it actually was pretty hard. I'm not gonna lie, like they definitely were very patient with me, and she actually later on told me that the thought that was often going through her head is that she felt really bad because she thought that I was obviously feeling bad about what I was able to contribute, and she just wished she knew how to properly help me. So it was nice to know that even though I was feeling guilty all the time, that they weren't sitting there, oh, I wish you would just do more work. It was more like, oh God, I don't know what, I want to help you. So that felt pretty good. But even though I was able to start working on some projects that I really loved and definitely was improving work-wise, I still wasn't where I wanted to be and definitely wasn't where I needed to be in order to best benefit the company I worked for. But eventually we came up with an idea, and after testing that out and simultaneously finally finding my perfect medication for ADHD, I did it. I finally got myself into a groove where I was able to put out my best effort and actually hit all my goals on my timesheet every single day. And it felt so good, and I felt just so accomplished, and there was just no more guilt, and I knew I was helping out, and I could feel good about me as an employee and doing my job, and that was just the greatest feeling. And having them be proud of me, like knowing it's not from me finally doing what they needed me to do, it was a sense of pride from, I watched you overcome this struggle that you've had, and that was amazing to watch. It just makes me feel so grateful, and to come from where I was to now and being celebrated for that progress in my mental health journey, like that is insane. It is so great, and I'm just forever grateful for my manager and for working for the company that I do. With this also came a massive opportunity for my career growth, and I to this day just consider myself so lucky and so fortunate. As somebody with lived experience and a lot of knowledge from my volunteer work with jack.org and just my own personal research, they knew that I was somebody that was well versed in mental health awareness and the ways in which to better promote it. So I basically was given the opportunity to make mental health advocacy part of my full-time job. I now get the opportunity to run different presentations and check-ins and fun events for everyone that I work with, and I've inspired people to open up about their own struggles and seek help when they've needed it. And I've not only been able to find work that makes me feel so happy and like I have a life purpose, but the gratitude that I've been getting from all my team members has been so reassuring, and it's made me feel very empowered. I basically have been given this opportunity to have my own playground where I can come up with things that I think will best benefit the company, and I basically have been able to make my own OKRs and plan high-level plans for the future, and go to my manager and be like, I have an idea for this type of thing, and have them be like, yes, let's do that. And it has just been so amazing to feel that in charge and empowered, and knowing that it makes a difference at the company that you work for. The biggest thing too is with ADHD, most people that struggle with it often will find themselves becoming entrepreneurs and running their own business, or finding an entrepreneurial type of workflow in their jobs, because being able to set your own terms for yourself and put out the work that you want to put out helps you maintain focus and productivity and keeps you inspired. It just helps to challenge your brain a lot more. I was already fortunate that even before the pandemic, I was working remotely, which is something that I've thrived with being able to do. And we have so much flexibility in terms of the times of day we're able to work. So that just combined with, for the most part, getting to actually decide what I've been working on and knowing that it's for the company's benefit, it's just been life-changing. It's been empowering. I can't say enough how grateful I am and what this has done for me. I obviously don't want to talk too much about what I do for my job or who I work for, just because I found associating too much with your workplace in the past can have some negative consequences if you ever leave. I won't do that, but I feel very blessed to have come into a situation career-wise that is drastically different from where I was back in 2019. On top of all that, there's of course many other things that I have struggled with over the course of the year, being that COVID-19 has resulted in a pandemic and Canada had some pretty strict rules in terms of lockdown. I unfortunately wasn't able to see my friends or my family as much as I would have wanted, and throughout many parts of the year, I obviously wasn't able to go out and do different things. But the time that I have had being able to talk with my family and friends, and the few times I was able to go out and do something, has been really great. And I can't say that it was necessarily an awful year for me, because there were actually good memories to be made, and I'm just grateful that I was able to find the opportunities to do so and not let the loneliness of the pandemic get me down. I actually, to be more honest, did spend the bulk of quarantine alone by myself. My roommate has been escaping to stay with her boyfriend, now fiance, when she can. So I've had periods of months and months not really being able to see other people except for essential workers when I've had to go out. So it's definitely been tough. There's been a lot of times where I definitely wished I wasn't alone, and I wished to be with my family or living with a friend, or of course wishing I was in a relationship with somebody that was amazing, and then I could just have a partner here to support me and me support them and take care of each other while this was happening. But that's not my reality at the point. It has been pretty lonely, and I think finding things to keep me occupied has been my saving grace. So work, luckily, has been so exciting that I've been able to get up every morning and look forward to that. And just like little silly things like playing Animal Crossing, or obsessing over Baby Yoda and finally watching The Mandalorian, or sitting down and finally watching all of The Office. Just the little things to look forward to definitely made things a little bit better. Virtual game nights are awesome too. I did those with my family and my coworkers quite a bit. Just trying to find the little things here and there definitely makes a difference. I'm so sorry if I trail off. I didn't really plan ahead what I was going to talk about, so if some of the things I'm saying don't make sense or start not wrapping up properly, I'm so sorry. I will add anything if I need to. But yeah, this is ADHD for you folks. Something else that I have been struggling with too, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to open up about this or not, because there definitely were a couple people that, although they didn't talk to me about it, I know based on certain actions taken that I am not well favored anymore. Just like my feelings towards my previous company and how I've been dealing with layoff PTSD. But I will just mention quickly, because I think it's really important to talk about how these things can have lasting effects on us. Negative feelings towards my old workplace are definitely something that I still struggle with, and was a big struggle of mine over the course of 2020. When you feel hurt by a place that you used to spend the bulk of your time, it definitely sucks to see them receive praise, or for them to find success and start doing well and have all these celebrations. It definitely sucks even more when you see them take ideas that you came up with and basically just run with them. Yeah, that's a thing. But yeah, it definitely sucked a lot to see people that have hurt me just continue to exist. And seeing this company thrive, it definitely has had a lot of negative feelings arise in me. And something that I've been working on with my psychologist is trying to practice gratitude for the things that I did gain from being there. I do have a lot of happy memories, and I do have a lot of skills that I have that have caused me to thrive in my current role because of what I was able to learn from being there. And yeah, everything happens for a reason, and perhaps there is a reason that I was meant to leave there and find my current role instead, but that doesn't excuse how something happens. So there still is a lot of pain based on what happened. And because I don't want to keep living with so many negative feelings every time I see a person that hurt me or I see this thing that hurt me, I've been trying so hard to find ways to let go and to help myself heal. So I've found myself muting different things on Twitter and actually muting quite a few of my LinkedIn connections. So just trying to erase all noise regarding this company just so I could just continue to do what I want to do on my phone and breathe and not be triggered by the success of this company. Because the thing is, they're going to continue to do what they're going to do, and there are people out there that have greatly benefited from the work that they have done. Even though it does suck knowing what happened to me, I just have to accept that it is what happened, and karma will come for those that most deserve it. But in the meantime, I just have to continue doing what I need to do to take care of myself and learn to forgive and forget. So we'll see if I'm able to have happier feelings about them in 2021. No promises, but we shall see. Even though this video has been much happier than my 2019 video, and I have a lot more hope going towards the future, my journey to recovery is not done. There's still a lot that I struggle with, and there's still a lot that I need to work towards in order to get where I want to be, and learning how to manage everything going forward, because these aren't things that are just gonna go away. I have depression and anxiety and ADHD, and that's just something I'm gonna have to deal with. Because I now know that even though in the worst of times that the world has ever seen, I was able to find so many ways to thrive. I now know that I have the strength and resiliency to keep going. And even though things aren't perfect and I'm not where I want to be right now, there's still so much potential for me to make that change. And I'm continuing to meet with my psychiatrist regularly and talk to my psychologist every now and then, and just being open with my friends and family and trying to look after myself in the best way that I can. Even though times have been crappy and times are still crappy, I am dedicated to continuing to look after myself, and I hope you'll stick around for the ride. So that is basically it in terms of updates over the past year and what has happened with my mental health since that 2019 video. I hope this video wasn't too hard to follow or super messy, and that you've enjoyed watching it a little bit, whether it was just to compare experiences or feel inspired. I hope you were able to gain something from it. I really hope, even though I have said this a few times in the past, that I will continue to come back and make more mental health related videos every now and then. No promises, because I am a girl with ADHD and I gotta try and get it all under control. But if that is something that you think you would like to see more of, and you enjoyed this video and you like me, make sure to give this video a like, feel free to comment and subscribe, and hopefully I'll have something new for you soon. Thank you so much to everyone that has shown me support and has continued to support me on my journey to recovery. I am so grateful for every positive opportunity that has come my way since my world began to go out of control, and I am so looking forward to what the future holds for me. And I hope that we can have a lot of great conversations about mental health, and that we'll just continue to get the word out there and talk about it. We'll all soon learn that I have a very bad habit of rambling, and if this video is evidence of it, I don't know what is. Again, thank you for watching, and as always, spread love and don't be a troll. Bye!